Joining me on the 12th episode of the What's Cookin' podcast, Luke Jonasson. A former classmate of mine, also happens to be my cousin's boyfriend. We grew up in Cedar Rapids. We know some of the same people. We have a great conversation today. Let's take a listen.
Here we go.
What's cooking, everybody? Thank you for tuning in today. It is my great pleasure to bring on another guest for episode 12. This week I am welcoming a former classmate, a good friend, a fellow sport and rec management student, and one of the greatest zamboni drivers that's ever lived, Luke Jonasson.
Thank you for having me.
How's life been going for you lately, Luke? What's up with you, man?
You know, both finished up school not too long ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Out in the real world, I'm enjoying not having homework hanging over my head while I'm trying to watch some football on the weekends. But other than that, I mean, just kind of going through the routine.
It's just a different world without homework, isn't it, man? You get to do what you want to do most of the time, and it's freedom, and I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
So, when does the Heartlanders season start? As a curious fan who wants to attend a game or two, I'm just asking here.
Yeah, they have training camp this week, so kind of wean out the guys who won't make the team. But they have a scrimmage Wednesday, and then their first actual regular season game's the 21st. I'm pretty sure.
Cool.
Around there.
Cool. I will have to find a time to get in there and see the legend. We're driving over on the Zamboni and everything, so.
Oh, if you make it to a game, we'll get you on the Zamboni.
Oh, baby. I like the sound of that. All right. So we have a more of a current memory between me and you. We met not too long ago, so we're going to go chronologically. There's going to be a lot that I'm going to be learning about you, and then we'll get over to current day, and we'll share some of the stuff we have in common. But I'm curious, were you born in Cedar Rapids?
I was.
You were?
Yep.
Excellent.
Mercy Hospital.
Let's go, dude. I was St. Luke's, so that's a rivalry, unfortunately. But
yeah. It's funny that you say that because, for people, who were born in Cedar Rapids, those are, pretty much the only two options. And if you're from, if you're born at St. Luke's and I was born at Mercy, you used to tell people that in, middle school.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, dude. No, Mercy stinks. St. Luke's is so much better. It's you were just born there.
Dude, I would have that conversation. One of my best friends is from Mercy, and we would always brag about, there would be a St. Luke's sign that would say, we are a top 100 hospital in the country or something. And my friend was like, no, they just say that to bring in more patients and stuff. And we were, going at it. So it's a real thing. Those are the two main places, but, hey, you got to argue for where it all started, so. Have you ever heard the song Cedar Rapids Won't Let You Down?
I don't think that I have.
Okay.
Is that a real song?
Yes, it is. It's kind of an ongoing joke that I have with people that I bring on the show. It's a local group called Big Bang is the band name. They just kind of started up and made some fun songs and stuff. It's the Cedar Rapids group, but they made a song, it's a rap song called Cedar Rapids Won't Let You Down. It's on Spotify and everything, so I'm going to have to send it to you after this. You can take a listen, let me know what you think, but it's one of my favorite, it just, the pride of being from Cedar Rapids, you got to love it. You got to appreciate it, so. So born in Cedar Rapids, growing up, were you playing a lot of sports as a kid, getting into a lot of different sports, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I pretty much was doing some sort of sport since I could walk.
I love that.
I never got into art or anything other than that. I've just pretty much been sports my whole life.
Not a bad way to go. Yeah, I agree. Never really did a whole lot of performing arts myself. I guess I did play piano for a year, but then I stopped. They force you to play band in middle school, so I played band, but yeah. I wasn't really a musical kid, more of sports, but Which sports were your favorite growing up, and like what kind of were you like a more of an athletic kid, or like what positions do you play? Kind of take me through that.
Favorite sports probably always been baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, big baseball guy. I wasn't too picky. I'm not a huge soccer guy.
Okay.
I don't have the ability to kick a soccer ball very well, so I just don't like it. But
understandable.
Yeah, I really liked baseball, basketball too.
Love it.
Flag football.
Oh, of course.
That type of stuff when I was growing up. Baseball, I was a little restricted because I'm left-handed, so couldn't play too many positions, but bounced around from outfield, first base, pitched a little bit. That's kind of how my career went, was just kind of floated around those positions.
Yeah, I like that.
A lot of the time. Football, when I was younger, I was a quarterback.
Let's go.
Which was nice. I enjoyed that.
Yep.
But as I got older, I was way taller than everyone.
Oh, really?
Like I was pretty tall when I was a kid, so like coaches were like, we can't have you throw the ball. You got to go catch it.
Yeah, true.
Just chuck it up there.
Pretty much.
Same with basketball. I was a big kid, so played center, and then everybody else caught up to me.
I guess.
I had to switch to being a guard, and that was quite the adjustment. But
interesting, yeah, because that's such a, when you grow up, I was kind of like a taller kid for most of my childhood too, and then I ended up in high school, I was like a wing, so, you never really know where you're going to stack up, but you have to be able to adjust as you keep growing and stuff, but...
Yeah, I think I need to have a conversation with my doctor growing up. He kept telling me, he's like, oh yeah, the way you're growing and where you stack up on the charts, you're gonna be about 6'5", 6'6", maybe. I was like, okay, I can do this, and then just stopped growing in freshman year.
Dude, you lied to me, man.
I know. I still think about that.
So my doctor growing up would always say, like, yeah, you're following along with what your dad was. My dad was like 6'2", 6'3", around there, and he's like, yep, that's probably where you'll end up too. You might have been a lot taller if it wasn't for your mom. Your mom's 5'5". She's really bringing you down, and she's kind of hurting your growth. And every time my mom would hear that, she would just be like, sorry, there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I don't know. So, yeah, but I'm fine with, I ended up 6'3", so I'm good with that. But, so basketball, baseball, a little bit of football. Did you play Metro Youth football at all, Cedar Rapids?
I did for 1 year.
Really?
And then, and that was fine. I enjoyed it, but...
Was it flag or tackle?
It was tackle.
Tackle, let's go.
And then after that, there's like a travel football team.
Yeah.
For Wash, and so I joined their team for a year or two, but I got tackled once, and I don't know if you could call it a tackle, but it was like last game of the season. We were playing in the championship game of this tournament, and this dude came like out of nowhere. I was like nowhere near the play, and he just like spear tackled my thigh.
Oh.
And just like immediate like bruise. I like couldn't feel my leg. I was like, oh no, like, it's broken. But so after that, I was like, I think I just got to focus on baseball. So
yeah.
I started playing fall baseball instead of football. So.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I played Metro Youth quite a bit. I played flag football for like 4 or 5 years, and then I played 2 years of tackle football, and then I went back and became a flag football ref at Metro Youth for a couple of years. Me and my brother were both refs, and that was fun to be on the other side of it, have the parents yelling at you and everybody's pissed, and you're trying to keep a straight face and everything, but it was tough. It was cool to see. It was one of my first jobs as a high schooler, so interesting perspective on that, but yeah, I was mostly basketball all the way. I didn't get into baseball very much, but recently with my company, I've been on a slow pitch softball team, so I'm starting to kind of get the swing going a little bit, get the glove working a little. But I don't have much baseball experience, so yeah, you'll have to be teaching me about that if we ever get in that situation. But So you end up going to high school at Wash, and we were just talking about this, how I'm pretty familiar with some of your Wash classmates because I went to Franklin, and so you played, I'm assuming, baseball, basketball at Wash. Was that the only two? Or?
Baseball and basketball, I played all 4 years. I ran track also, and then I ran cross country 1 year.
Okay.
That was a horrible decision. Cross country is not a sport for people who are built like me.
Okay. Yeah.
And then my senior year, I joined the golf team because I wanted to play free golf.
Hey, that was me just 1 year sooner. That was me as a junior. I decided to do golf. Great decision.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it. I wish I would have played golf more than just 1 year, but
same.
In high school, kids don't unless you're good at golf and that's kind of your sport. You just don't really play.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a slept on high school sport, I think.
Did they throw you into a few JV reserve meets or anything?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of, because I really just wanted to have an excuse to go play golf for free.
Pretty much.
I didn't really want to play in the meets, and I did pretty good in one of them, and then luckily it didn't end up happening. But my coach was like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna throw you in a varsity meet here one of these days." And I'm like, "Please do not do that. Everyone's gonna shoot mid-30s or high 30s or something. I'm gonna shoot 70
on 9 holes."
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. I was in a similar situation. I actually ended up playing as our sixth man in 2 varsity meets. So I was we have our 4, so I think the way golf meets work is you take your 4 best scores, but you bring 6 players.
Mm-hmm.
So the last 2 aren't really expected to contribute at all, which I didn't contribute at all. I had the worst. But it was a great experience. Yeah, I got a lot of fun out of that, playing for 2 years. And like you said, free golf. I mean, hey.
Can't beat it.
Me and my friend from sophomore year were on the football team, and there was this day in practice where we were having to do this terrible drill and tackling and doing all this stuff, and we're like, man, we might not just be built for this. And it's I think next year we might do golf. He was like, you know what, I'm joining you, bro. That sounds much better. So we ended up doing that. But hey, great decision looking back at it, so can't complain. And shout out also, I think it was yesterday we just learned that Mr. Reed Hall became the first ever state champion golfer at Kennedy. Shout out to my guy. Kennedy representing in state golf. You love to see that. All right, moving on. Oh, I was going to ask, do you have any specific memories, any sports playing against Kennedy? Do you remember basketball, baseball, anything against Kennedy that rings a bell for you? Because I never knew that you existed until college, so I don't really remember.
Yeah. Gosh. Baseball not so much. I felt like every time. Oh no, I lied. I can think of one that I just thought about. But one of the memories I have from playing you guys in baseball is your guys' field in the dugouts. How they're kind of under into the ground.
Okay.
I always thought that was weird, and then foul balls would just come screaming right at you. It was this is great, but I think I don't know if I'd call it fond, but a memory I have from Kennedy baseball was we were playing at Wash, and it was both teams were pretty decent, and so it was kind of a big game. Had a decent amount of people show up and everything. Maybe the 5th pitch of the game, I'm standing in the left field. Matt Burst.
Yeah.
You remember him?
Oh, of course.
He got up there, and our pitcher threw fastball just right down the middle, and Matt Burst hit that ball to the moon.
Oh.
So far. There was these giant pine trees out in left field, and they were the ball went into the upper half of those trees. As soon as he hit it, I just didn't even move. I just watched it.
There it goes.
Basketball. I played basketball with a few guys on Kenny's team. Ryan King.
Okay.
We went to elementary and middle school together. And
Okay,
then,
our king, my guy.
Drake Brewster.
Really?
I played with him
in
middle school too, but I think the only one from basketball is like summer league games or whatever they were.
Yeah.
That you guys would have. I was playing one of those, playing Kennedy, and there's a loose ball. I dove on it. Ref blew the whistle, and one of the biggest kids at that point, he was huge, so much bigger than everyone. Jack Coker.
Oh yeah.
I think he might have thought it was maybe still football season, and he jumps on top of me, and I just get crushed, and I was like, oh. But other than that, I just remember losing by quite a solid amount of points to you guys in basketball. We were not very good.
Your senior year was one of our best years when we got 4th in state, so that was a tough team to go against, I would imagine.
Very tough.
But yeah, Jack Coker is not a man to be messed with. He's a forceful guy. I played with him in flag football, tackle football. He was actually a Metro Youth ref with us for a few years too. So I know him pretty well, yeah. Big guy, good kid.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it happened, and he's he's always just been such a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was just ball. But you're right, outside he's just such a nice dude.
Yep.
Super nice.
I think he played at South Dakota or South Dakota State or something, football. So
yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, great man. He was a big part of our Kennedy football state championship year with my brother that year. I think he was part of the offensive line, so love that. But yeah, and for basketball wise too, Drew Christensen, Max Campbell, you know those guys?
Oh yeah.
Played with both of them in middle school. Drew is a great kid. He's a great athlete. A lot of fun memories playing with him. And then Max, there's one memory I always remember. It was my sophomore year. We're playing against Wash, at Wash. Max gets the ball on the post and does a pivot move and sort of smudge dunks it in. It hits the rim as it goes in. It's pretty much a dunk, but it looked a little awkward. As he's running back down the floor, he spreads his arms and does a bird eagle wing celebration or something. He's flapping his wings down the court, and our coach is if I see any of you guys doing that, I'm taking you out of the game. Don't ever do that.
That sounds like Max. You never know what you're gonna get next.
He's such an interesting man, but great kid as always. Franklin gang for life, and
Go Bolts.
Go Bolts. That's right. What middle school did you go to, by the way?
I went to Trinity Lutheran.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that. Anytime people would ask, it was always funny to use it as a reference point, but it's that small school with the church across the street from it. It's across from Kingston.
Okay.
So right there.
All right. I'm pretty sure I might have had a basketball practice there at one point or another. It rings a bell for me, but yeah, interesting. Let's see what else I got here. Okay, so end of high school, you're wrapping up senior year and everything. What was kind of the college decision process for you? Did you have a narrowing down to a couple other places? Was there one place you had your heart set on, or what kind of things were you considering at that point?
At that point, I kind of I was between a few schools. I had the opportunity to go play baseball at some Division III schools, a couple smaller D2 schools and stuff, and I decided to go the JUCO route.
Okay.
Which, if you were a junior college athlete, you know what I'm talking about. It's a grind, but so I went to DMAC.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't make it very long. I was there for a semester. Ran into some injuries, and I was as much as I love the small town of Boone, Iowa, I think I gotta give up on this one. So
the booming metropolis of Boone, Iowa. Yes.
But yeah, then after that, I decided kind of wanted to be back closer to home, and I had a lot of friends and stuff that went to Iowa, so that's where I ended up. The longest time, thought I wanted to do something with PT or something like that, and so I was well, I was a pretty good school for it, and then I realized I'm not smart enough for that. I can't get away from sports, so found myself on the sport and rec train.
Okay.
But
So that was end of freshman year you came over to Iowa, or like beginning of sophomore year?
so halfway through freshman year.
Okay, got it.
So, yeah.
So that's similar to what Macy did then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I think, she came over after like the first semester.
Yeah.
First half of the school year, yeah.
You guys never would have guessed. Hey, you never know. So you come over and you was it right away into sport and rec, or you said you tried PT a little bit? Like, is that a specific major at Iowa, or just like a few classes you tried out?
Just kind of, that's kind of like what I thought I was gonna do. So took a few classes, like the very like generic ones.
Yeah, some
for
gen
that
eds and stuff.
for that route.
Okay.
Really was not good at all the science classes. I like science, but class-wise was not very.
I feel
not my
you.
best. Chemistry never understood it. So.
No, same here. I'm not a fan.
But yeah, then it's funny enough, I didn't know really what that like sport and rec management was a major.
Yeah.
You could get your degree in, and met Macy, and then I was still trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do and whatnot, and she was like, well, she at the time was getting her degree in communications, and she was working for the athletic department, and then she said she's going to go to grad school for sport and rec, and she's like, I think you'd like it since you like sports so much. And then little did I know.
Yeah, good recommendation it turned out to be. So you move over to Iowa City. Did you have like, what kind of living situation? Were you like on campus where you had to drive in, or like what kind of, you had an apartment, or what were you working with there?
When I transferred to Iowa, I got paired up with a random guy at Hillcrest.
Ah, very nice.
So it was fine. I think if I could have chosen, I would have chosen who I lived with. Shout out Kyle though; he was a great roommate.
Let's go.
I appreciated having him around, and my only complaint is he used to make nachos, like beef nachos at like 3 a.m.
Oh, baby.
So like I'd hear the microwave and wake up to the smell of beef, and I was like, this is not like my favorite, but if this is the worst it's gonna be, then that's fine.
Welcome to college, baby. 3 a.m. is the prime nacho time. So, but yeah, so when I was a little kid, I went to like late elementary, early middle school. I went to the Iowa Kids Camp for basketball down in Iowa City. We stayed overnight in Hillcrest. So I've gone through the Hillcrest experience a little bit, eaten in the cafeteria. Great ice cream station there, a lot of good selection. So
Oh yeah,
love it, man.
love not having to leave a building to go get a meal.
Oh, that is clutch,
That's
man.
the best,
Yes.
especially in the winter.
Yes, for sure. I lived in Catlett, so I had the best setup of pretty much in Iowa City. So very appreciative of that. But all right, so we talked about coming over to Iowa, your living situation and everything, getting into sport and rec classes. Did you participate in any intramural sports during your time at Iowa?
I did.
Let's go.
I did sand volleyball one year. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Did flag football. That was another solid one.
Very nice.
Funny enough, I said I don't like soccer, but I joined one of my buddies' intramural soccer teams.
All right. I've done all three of those as well, so
yeah.
I can relate.
I did a slow pitch softball team too.
Oh, cool.
That was pretty fun, but we played, I think there's 3 total games, and in our final game we had 8 people, and they told us we needed 9. We're like, okay. And this girl shows up and she forgets her ID, and we're like, she literally goes here, and they're like, sorry, gotta scan the ID. She can't play.
Yeah, they are very
Great.
strict about that. I remember.
So dropped the ball on that one. But.
Yeah, intramurals at Iowa, super fun. The only beef I have is they canceled our basketball season sophomore year because of COVID, and we were 6-0 at the time. So self-declared champions at that point. But thankfully, we were able to run it back senior year. We got the job done, and Black Mambas, intramural champs at Iowa, 5-on-5 men's A league. So no big deal. But yeah, intramural sports at Iowa, great time. I know a lot of people in the sport and rec program that actually reffed intramurals too. Did you ever do any reffing for that?
I did not.
Okay.
My most recent roommate before Macy and I moved in together, he was a referee for basketball a couple of years ago.
Okay.
When he was going to Iowa, so I never got into officiating, but
yeah,
he said it was fun. It seemed like a nice little side job to be doing. But.
Yeah, for me, if it was basketball, I would want to do one of like the lower like B league or like co-ed or something, because like I've been on part of like the men's A competitive stuff, and those refs just get eaten alive by some of the calls that they have. And it's like you have to understand that they're college kids and they're not NBA pros and everything, so
yeah,
it's such a hard sport to ref though. Basketball has like so much that can happen in a quick amount of time, and I don't know, man. I would never want to be put in that situation. But so the way I'm able to relate with you a little bit is I was a sport and rec minor, so I kind of had some of the similar classes. Obviously, we had a class together, but it seemed to me a lot like since I was a data science major, that was a lot of individual assignments and work, but when I come over to sport and rec, it seems like there's a huge focus on group projects in sport and rec major, and I'm wondering if you like enjoyed that, or did you have any like real bad experiences as part of a group project, or how did that kind of go?
I think for the most part, group projects were okay. I personally am not a huge group project guy. I'd rather kind of do it on my own, and
okay.
If it's meant to be an individual thing, the workload usually isn't too bad, but then you get into the group side of it and you end up just doing it individually, and that's a lot of work.
Been there.
Had some experiences with that. So if you're listening and you're still in college and you have a group project, please do your part.
Please.
It helps so much more than you'd think, but yeah, there is a lot of group projects in the sport and rec area. I don't know why it kind of made me laugh, because it's like it's a sport thing and they're real big on teams.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Maybe something like that, but also just in the sports world in general, you're kind of collaborating a lot with your coworkers and stuff. So it's definitely a good precursor to the real world, I would say.
Absolutely. I completely agree, because that's the kind of stuff you're going to be doing when you get out there. So might as well throw in some group projects and let you prepare. Let's see. I was going to ask, so obviously the job you have now, working with Heartlanders and facilities and everything, and sport setup and everything, but I'm wondering if you took any like additional steps outside of the classroom, like a internship that you might have had, or like a field experience that you did.
Yeah, so I was pretty fortunate. I worked at the Ridge ice rink, and the company that I now work for and that runs still that ice rink and then the Extreme Arena, when they took it over, there were some opportunities to do some independent field experience or internships through them. So did an operations one for my second one. First one, I did kind of like group sales. And sponsorship sales, that type of thing. Those were both good. I then did, I can't even remember the name of it now. Whatever the guided practicum for sport and rec. It's the UI SRM agency. I did that. They kind of revamped that and started it up, and I did that my senior year, and it was interesting. But no, it's good. Had Alex Voss. Shout out Alex.
Oh yeah.
Great teacher. So
had him my senior year for I don't remember the name of the class, but some sort of sport and rec class. So familiar with that. Yep. So did you kind of like, obviously that, I'm assuming that field experience and all that stuff would help you kind of translate to the full-time job and everything. Did you use that as like a way for you to get your foot in the door to the job you have now, or was that just like something to put on your resume and it was like separate from what you have now, or like how did that kind of lead in for you?
Yeah, it was, at the time I didn't plan on using it as like a step into that, or the arena and that type of stuff initially, but I just used it because I had to.
Yeah.
Pretty much it was a requirement to get some field experience, so
okay, yeah.
Used it like that, but it's the operations side of it is definitely translated into the current job. And like we talked a little bit when we were walking in here about the managerial side of things too. I didn't really get much experience with that through the internships, but
okay.
Yeah, it was definitely at the time a resume builder.
Yeah, that helps though. It's great. You got to. Sometimes it's not always the most enjoyable things that you need to do in the work experience and everything, but each little thing that you keep adding on there is going to open up more doors for you down the road. So I absolutely understand the kind of process with that. But now we're going to get into the fun stuff. We're going to get into some liability and sport and rec management. Luke and I had a class together, was it fall of 21, so about a year ago now. Professor Daniel Matheson at University of Iowa. Shout out Professor Dan. Dan the man, great guy. A lot of fun memories with him. I'm going to let you kind of share what you like most about Dan and what you remember most about that class. I'm going to come in with a little memory that I have, but when you think of Professor Dan and liability in sport and rec, what are some of the best things you remember?
I think when I think of old Dan, the thing that I come up with is he always rode his bike. Yeah. And that was always kind of like him in a bike helmet for some reason is a memory. And then he was so like amped and excited to be talking about sports and law every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I was like, it's a little early for me to be excited, but he made the class a lot of fun. Made it easy to engage and actually learn some stuff from it. I think my favorite memory was when he brought in the World Series rings.
Absolutely, yep.
Got to check those out. Put the 4 on my fingers. Took a little picture. Felt pretty sweet, but.
So I have a video that I took of that day when he brought in the World Series rings. It's a video of you putting the rings on your finger, and like right when you get the last ring on, you just look at your hand. You're like, ah! And then you slowly look over at me and you're like, would you mind taking a picture of me, sir?
Yup. Had a document.
Yeah, so I can send you that video if you want to keep it, but that's just such a great moment. Just like the pure joy that you had at the time, just like seeing all those on your finger.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, as a kid, loving baseball,
yeah.
The World Series ring, that's always the dream, but that's
incredible. So I had one of my good friends and my college roommate in that class with me, Jonah, and the thing that we thought was super funny is it was one of the first weeks of that class, liability in sport and rec. At the very end of the class one time, there was a wasp that got in through the window or something.
Oh, yeah.
And he saw it flying around and everything. And it was like people were starting to kind of head out. He kind of finished up lecture for the day, but we kind of hung around because we saw this wasp come in. And he grabs like a tissue or something and tries to like swat at it or something. And he gets hold of it and he gets it like in a tissue and sets it down on the table and takes his fist and just like gives it like 3 solid punches. I was like, oh my goodness, he's got some force behind that thing. He then after the punches, he lifts up the little tissue. He's like, he kind of like examines it. He's like, man, he's still buzzing in there. So he sets the tissue down on the floor and stomps it with his foot. And he just goes to town on that thing.
Now that you say that, I remember that. He was like curb stomping the wasp. I was like, oh my gosh.
It was like, Doctor, it was like, Professor Dan, have some mercy, my lord. No, but he finished that thing for good, and there was no chance that wasp was living after that. So, shout out to Dan. He took care of that thing, and he left no doubt. He finished the job for sure. But yeah, I completely agree. He was always brought the enthusiasm at 9:30 a.m. that I could never seem to manage to have for class, but. Just like the type of things that a sports organization could do, he's like, man, this could create some liability for them. Like, if you don't cover this, and you could just like see the joy in his face. Like, I get to create a little law case about why this might be liable. So, and then we had to do our little case presentations to the class about a certain case and everything.
Oh yeah.
And I had to try to memorize mine and go through, and like the day of, I was like, all right, I got this, repetitions and everything. So, I think I did all right on that. It was kind of interesting though, because I've never really had that in any other of my classes, but
yeah,
that was awesome. All right, so that's all we have for Professor Dan. But after you graduated from University of Iowa, same time as me, right? It was this May that you graduated?
Yep.
Awesome, love that. You jumped into full time at the ice arena and everything from that point, or did you already kind of have a little full-time working during the school year at that point?
Yeah, I not quite 40 hours a week, but I'd work anywhere from 30 to 40 during the school year too at the arena, doing the hockey stuff, driving for the games, or the setup and tear down of events. So it was a pretty seamless transition once I was done with school.
Nice.
I just went there at normal hours instead of being there super late and stuff. So
yeah. So one of the things I'm wondering is, you apply and you get that job and you start working there. Do you kind of have to work your way up to be able to drive the Zamboni, or do they just like throw you out there immediately? You kind of have to build some trust with them first.
Yeah. Our ice technician, Isaac, he kind of has all the say in what happens with the ice, who's driving and stuff like that. And he was over at the mall when I was still part-time there, and he was kind of filling in as a manager, and I guess I'm just naturally gifted at driving a Zamboni.
All right.
Weird skill to have, I guess. But the hockey team was coming, and they drive 2 Zambonis, and he asked me if I wanted to do it. I was pretty much the only one. He said I was the only one that he trusted to do it right. So
let's go, man.
Kind of just got thrown into it, which it's been awesome.
Great. Love to hear that. This is a question that Macy would like me to ask you, and I think it's a very great question. Do you know how much a Zamboni costs?
I think a brand new one, they approach they're like $250,000.
Oh,
I think they're pretty expensive. That's like a brand new, like, really nice one.
Okay, yeah. Wow,
but
that's like an expensive car.
Yeah,
It's
like, yeah, and yeah, so they're a little pricey. You can get used ones. We recently purchased a new one for the mall. It was used, and they're usually only good for about 10-ish years.
Okay.
So we're long overdue for one, but I think we got that one for like $50,000.
All right.
But it's a little older, so.
All right. Yeah. Interesting.
We'll
man.
see how long
she
makes it.
That's a commitment. That's yeah. You gotta be sure that's the right one. It's gonna be durable, because man, $250,000. My goodness. But I guess that's for top of the line type of Zamboni. But longest shift you've ever worked. Do you remember off the top of your head?
Ooh. I think The longest was probably, it was a concert day at the arena. I think I got there around like 9 a.m. or so.
Okay.
Help load stuff in, get everything set up throughout the day if the tour needed anything, and then concert went until probably about 11, so already kind of a long day, and then after that we had to change it from the concert to hockey.
Ooh.
So then did a changeover afterwards, and I got a break in there too at one point, so
Okay,
it wasn't too bad, but I think it was close. I think it was like 18 hours maybe. It was approaching a full day. We did not finish that changeover till very early in the morning. So
Wow, 18, man. I don't know. There's some days where I'm not even awake for 18 hours. So working for 18 hours, my goodness, man. The longest shift I've ever worked was I used to work at Elmcrest in the golf department for they had the Zach Johnson Foundation Classic set up at Elmcrest. Got there at 4 a.m. to set up and everything, get everything in gear, lined up and everything. Worked the entire event, and then the close down finished around 6 p.m. So that was about 14 hours. But you got me beat there, man. That's impressive. So
the sports world, if you're passionate about it, it's awesome. But no, I'd say know what you're getting into and what you're going to be working in there, because there's some weird hours and long days.
Speaking of weird, if you can remember some of the strangest or one of the strangest things you've ever had happen to you, or the strangest thing you've ever seen while working this job or while driving a Zamboni, anything come to mind for you?
Gosh, I mean, I guess I have two. I can answer that in two parts. Like one for hockey and the Zamboni, and the other one just in general.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, when you're doing a changeover and it's 3 in the morning, I mean, everything's just kind of weird. Everyone's kind of at their breaking point. You feel loopy, but
that's for sure. Yes.
I think the strangest was it was probably around 2:30ish or so, and we're doing the changeover, and we have some outside help that comes in, and they're helping us out, and they're getting ready to head out because we only had them for so many hours. And I look over, and there's this guy. He's sitting in the stands with who I'm assuming was his wife, and then their literal newborn baby.
Oh wow!
And I guess she had just been hanging out watching the changeover with a baby. And I was like, why are you here?
Oh no.
But I guess she was driving him around, so
that was at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. So that was probably the weirdest one for just the op side of things. The Zamboni one, it wasn't necessarily weird. I had my mom ride on the Zamboni with me one time.
Okay.
She thought that it would be a great time to yell to everybody in the stands that I was in fact her son. So that was more so embarrassing than anything. And then first game that we had fans at, ever at the arena, we got these two guys who hopped on the Zambonis, and we were like, well, we'll see how it goes with people riding on the Zamboni with us while we're trying to do that. And they'd had some fun that night.
Oh boy.
And they decided it'd be a great time to just find everybody they knew in the stands, just give them the finger. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many kids here. What are we doing? Oh. So that was an interesting start to the Zamboni experience.
I guess. That might be an opportunity for some liability in sport and rec management.
Oof. I'll have to email Dan about that one to see what we can do.
Dan, how can we protect ourselves from this incident? Yes, you have a great lawyer if you ever need to go to court. So love that, man. Last thing, one of the last things I guess we didn't really touch on yet. being a Seahawks fan, I'm curious. Living in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I'm a fan of the Chargers, and I have a strange way of being connected to a team that was formerly in San Diego, now in LA. I'm curious how you became a Seahawks fan, such a team far away.
My dad's parents, they used to have a place out in the Seattle area, so I've been out there a little bit. My dad went to the University of Washington for a couple years, I believe. And so he was a fan, and like his side of the family, a lot of them live out in Washington, so just kind of followed my dad's footsteps as far as fandom goes, and it's worked out pretty well for a while, but in recent years, especially this season, it's been a little rough.
Yeah. I mean,
can't win them all.
That's right. You had a couple good runs to the Super Bowl, got a ring, so that's you'll take that. I mean, as a Chargers fan, we've only been to one Super Bowl, and that was before I was born, so I have no memory of any Super Bowl appearance. Furthest we've got was AFC Championship game, where Phillip Rivers played with a torn ACL.
Oh.
And we lost to the Patriots and Tom Brady, of course.
Oh.
So that was tough, but I hope that better days are ahead.
Yeah.
We were able to squeak out a strange win today, but who knows, man.
I mean, you guys you're looking good, still pretty young. I mean,
that's true.
You got the pieces. I think you guys could be in for some good years here coming up.
That's the hope, man. We just need to get a good, solid coaching staff, I think.
Maybe not puncture lungs, too.
Maybe not puncture lungs, dude. Maybe not fracture rib cartilages in our games and stuff. A lot of things we could change, but man. That was a great conversation. I'm wondering if there's anything else that I didn't mention that you would like to bring up. I tried to cover everything that we'd have in common, but maybe I missed something. Is there anything that you can think of?
Not really, not that I can think of. I'd like to give a shout out to Seattle Mariners.
Okay.
Made the playoffs for the first time in 21 years, and they won their wild card series last night. So
let's go.
Now we're gonna be matched up with the Astros, so it might be a short-lived postseason run, but hey, you never know.
Those are the guys that were banging the trash cans and doing the cheating and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you gotta keep a close eye on them.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have the volume on 100 just in case, so you can hear everything.
You hear that, Astros? And we also have Professor Dan on our side, so you better not try any funny business.
I will get Dan involved.
I love it, man. Well, we're going to give you the floor here. If you'd like to shout out any of your friends, any of your social medias, where can people find you? Anything you'd like to plug? Here you go. Here's the floor.
Oh, wow. First, nice little shout out and thank you to Brandon for having me on the pod today.
Of course.
Lots of fun as always. To be honest, I don't know what any of my social media handles are. I think my Twitter might be Luke_Jonasson.
There you
something
go.
like that. But yeah, shout out Brandon. Shout out Seattle Sports, all their fans. Shout out Macy.
Of course, yeah.
We kind of roommate. And she's been good, so.
I kind of buried the lead here with this one. My cousin Macy, some of you guys might know from the Q&A episode when Macy asked me who's my favorite cousin, in which I responded Macy, of course. Luke is dating Macy, so that's how the connection with us was made and everything. So shout out Macy, as always. Macy, we got to have you on sometime. That would be a fun conversation. There you go. I can put your social medias in the description of the podcast if you want me to do that. That sound good? Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Check out the description, guys. You'll get the socials there. Make sure to hit him up with a follow. And thank you so much for coming on, Luke. This is a great conversation, man.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you. So there you go. Luke Jonasson. Great guy. Great conversation. Always a pleasure to have new guests on the podcast. What's cooking? Let me know if you want to come on. I never really know what to expect as far as participation from the people that listen. There's people that I would expect to want to come on that have not reached out. There's people that I would not expect that want to come on that do reach out. So I'm very surprised with your guys' interaction, and it keeps things interesting. So let me know. Hit me up. Send me a message. If you want to get involved, I'd be happy to have you on. To the people that have asked me to come on and we haven't done anything yet, I'm working through the list of people. I got some more planning to do. I got some more scheduling to get you guys on here, but I'm going to do my best to make it happen, and looking forward to all the fun conversations that I will be having in the future. Now that that's out of the way, we're going to go ahead and find out what is cooking in each of the areas. What's cooking in sports? Iowa football. Well, it's another game in which we pretty much performed how we expected this year. Illinois is a similar team to Iowa, where they don't really have that great of an offense, but their defense is pretty impressive. They also had the leading rusher in the NCAA, so we knew that was going to be a challenge coming into this game, try to stop the run, and unfortunately, Illinois was able to escape with a win 9-6. This is a classic Iowa game. I think the over-under for this game was one of the lowest in NCAA all year. It probably was the lowest, but I'm pretty sure the under still hit, even though it was so low. You could have taken under 16 and got the under. That's how crazy this game was. But yep, Iowa getting a lot of takeaways on defense and not able to really do anything with it on offense. Kind of been the story of the season. I'm pretty much tired of talking about it. Our offense needs to improve. There need to be changes that need to be made. Blame it on the QB, blame it on the offensive coordinator, blame it on the head coach. Do whatever you want to do. There's got to be big changes if we want to have a competent offense. So, not a fun season, but it's going to be a stepping stone into the future of our program. And we will learn a lot, and we will grow from this, I hope. NFL. The Chargers taking on the Browns. This one, if you guys remember last year, Chargers versus Browns, this one was an absolute shootout. I think the final score was like 49-42 last year. Just touchdowns galore, not much defense going on. Similar game this year. Similar game. We didn't do a whole lot through the air this game compared to last year. This was more of a ground attack type of game. Nick Chubb went crazy against that Chargers rush defense that doesn't really do much. Kareem Hunt even had a productive day, their backup. Then Austin Eckler for us, running wild. He had like 170-something rushing yards, also a receiving touchdown. It was just a battle of the ground game all the way through. Then it comes down to the fourth quarter, as always with every Chargers game. It seems like we are always finding a way to hang around and make things interesting at the end. That's what we do. And to make things even more interesting, Chargers have it on our own 45-yard line. There's about 1:20 left in the game, maybe 1:10. Browns have no timeouts left. It's like 4th and 2. Chargers decide to go for it instead of punting. If you punt at this point, you probably pin the opponent inside their own 30, maybe inside their own 20. You probably set them up where they have to drive probably about 50 or 60 yards in order to get into field goal range with no timeouts and Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. So you gotta like your chances there more than going for it. I think we were only up by 2, so they only need a field goal to win. And Brandon Staley, in his infinite wisdom, decide to go for it, and we force a ball into Mike Williams when he was completely covered. Passes incomplete, sets up the Browns in a nice spot on the field. They're able to get a little bit more yardage and attempt a field goal. Brandon Staley, job security on the line at this point. Thankfully, Browns kicker misses the kick. Oh, baby. If he would have made that thing, we would have been calling for Staley's head. We would have been in uproar. I still am in uproar because I thought that was a terrible decision. I've been a Staley supporter since we hired him until earlier this year against the Jaguars. I kind of had my breaking point, I guess, with this coaching staff, and it's kind of continuing. Even though we found a way to win, we got lucky. We didn't really deserve the win after that coaching decision. It's disappointing. You know, the analytics discussion is going to come up, and Staley has had a tough history with that because you guys remember last year when we went for it on our own 18-yard line on 4th and 2, and we got stuffed, and we ended up losing that game in overtime. So, I mean, analytics are good to a certain extent. This is what I texted to my fantasy football group chat after this. Analytics are good to a certain extent, but we need to mix in some common sense. If I was a football coach in the NFL, I would lead the decision-making process with football common sense, and then maybe sprinkle in some analytics on the side or as a secondary kind of go-to decision-making process. But the forefront of our decision-making should be football common sense, not there's a 61% chance that if you go for it on 4th down, then you're going to convert and you're going to win the game. That's not how I would do it. That's not what's been successful in the past from what I've seen. So a little bit annoying, a little bit of frustration from the Chargers fans, rightfully so. Who knows? Staley got bailed out. He could have very well been on the chopping block if that kicker made the kick. So you live and you learn. Sometimes you get bailed out. There's been another uproar in the NFL, not because of Brandon Staley this time. It's because of the roughing the passer penalties. Oh my goodness. There was one this weekend that was called for Tom Brady. He got sacked by some Falcons dude who kind of grabbed him and wrapped him around and took him down and like threw him across his body, and which is a sack. I mean, that's football. If you sign up to play quarterback in the NFL and you drop back to pass, you got to be expecting to be hit, and you got to be expecting to be thrown to the ground. I mean, it's football. You know what you're getting yourself into. So why are the refs and the league starting to head this direction where you have to be so gentle and you have to be tucking them in and putting a pillow underneath of them like the Kevin Hart video about how to sack a quarterback? It's really a shame to see, and the physicality of football is really in danger. It's supposed to be a physical sport. It's supposed to be a certain level of controlled violence out there. Tackling the quarterback should be legal. You shouldn't be penalized for a regular sack. It was absolutely outrageous. And then the last straw was last night. The day you're listening to this would be 2 nights ago. Monday Night Football, Chiefs versus Raiders. Chiefs break into the backfield. They sack Derek Carr. The ball is loose. It was a strip sack, so the guy swats at his arm. The ball comes loose. He grabs the ball. He's falling down with the ball in his hand, and he uses his arm to break his fall. Still comes down on top of Derek Carr because it's hard to tackle someone and not land on them. I don't know if the refs have ever tried tackling someone. You're not going to be able to tackle them and kind of despawn on the way down. This isn't a video game. This isn't a simulation. When you tackle someone, the physics tell you that you will probably land on them. So I think that it shouldn't be illegal to land on a quarterback after you tackle them. I mean, it's common sense. Completely outrageous. They call roughing the passer for that play on the Chiefs. As much as I dislike the Chiefs and everything that they do, and every time they beat the Chargers, they got screwed over there. So thankfully it didn't change the outcome of the game a whole lot. The Chiefs were still able to win, but furious. I am up in arms. I am in uproar, as are a lot of NFL fans today. And I hope that Commissioner Goodell is looking at this and implements some change in the other direction. Quarterbacks are the moneymakers, but this is going to hurt the product of the NFL if this roughing the passer type of stuff continues. Davante Adams, letting out his frustration after the game. There's a cameraman walking by and kind of cut off Adams. He kind of walked in front of him, but Adams just unloaded on this dude for no reason, just shoved him down. Apparently the dude is like suing him now, taking legal action. Adams is probably going to have to pay a certain amount, and tough to see it, man. Frustrating loss, of course, but you're not, that doesn't give you any excuse to start shoving people to the ground. So got to keep the emotions under control. That's part of life. You got to learn to do that. And hopefully Adams will learn from this, and hopefully the guy's all right. It didn't look like there were immediate injuries. It kind of looked like he was able to get back up quickly, but people these days, you know, you get in that situation where a famous rich person kind of wrongs you in some sense. You're going to try to milk it for everything you can get, I guess. So kind of expected, but I don't know what to really think of that. Shouldn't be pushing people. Hopefully they can get that sorted out and just kind of resume back to normal life. What's cooking in finance? The CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, warns of a recession in 6 to 9 months from now. 6 to 9 months from now? I thought we were in a recession right now. I thought the first 2 quarters of 2022 were negative GDP growth. So is this meaning that the current recession will extend until then, or we're going to recover and then go back into a recession? Or are we not in a recession? We're going to be in a recession? Guys, I don't know. All I know is that the market is in a downfall, and it's a good time to buy. It's a good time to dollar cost average into the S&P 500, as always. Here's what they're saying from JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon. Runaway inflation, big interest rate hikes, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and the unknown effects of the Federal Reserve's quantitative tightening policy are among the indicators of a potential recession, Dimon said in an interview to the Business News Channel. These are very, very serious things which I think are likely to push the U.S. and the world. I mean, Europe is already in a recession, and they're likely to put the U.S. in some kind of recession in 6 to 9 months from now. So it sounds like Dimon isn't acknowledging the current recession in the United States, but he thinks there will be one in 6 to 9 months. So that kind of means the bottom is not here yet, is what he's saying. Which is kind of scary to think about because this has been a pretty brutal year in the markets. So buckle up if you're an investor. You're not going to be finding any bull markets anytime soon. So unfortunate, but you gotta be able to withstand this. You gotta zoom out, have a long-term mindset, dollar cost average, and hold true to your values. Have the conviction that we're going to get out of this, and life will carry on. PayPal told its users that it's going to fine them $2,500 for misinformation, and then they backtracked from that immediately. Wow. A new policy in PayPal's fine print triggered a storm of outrage over apparent plans to impose, starting on November 3rd, a hefty fine of $2,500 anytime one of its 429 million customers and merchants expressed what the corporate brass deems to be misinformation. Supposedly, PayPal is now the truth keeper. They are now they control what is true information and not. They will fine you if they believe that what you're saying is not true. Thankfully, they went back on this. PayPal quickly apologized over the weekend for what it called confusion, claiming that this was just an error. PayPal is not fining people for misinformation. This language was never intended to be inserted into our policy, a spokesperson told the media outlets. We're sorry for the confusion this has caused. So if this is never intended to be in your policy, how is it possible for this to even be typed up in the first place? Like,
where were you intending it to go then? If it wasn't to be in your policy, were you just kind of typing down random ideas and accidentally snuck it into your fine print? I'm confused. I don't know what they're going for there, but this is a whole debacle now. People are up in arms, and thankfully this isn't going to be enforced, but hey, man, I don't know. This could be a thing in the future that other places might try to enforce some of this stuff, but you got to be aware. You got to read the fine print before you accept the terms and conditions. I never really do that, but you never know what you're agreeing to these days. They can sneak in some interesting things, so be on the lookout.
What's cooking in technology?
Amazon Prime Early Access Sale is here. It's a 2-day flash sale with discounts on thousands of items from Amazon's vast inventory. Some people have been calling it Prime Day 2. Some people have been calling it the Prime Day sequel. It's just another event from Amazon to promote items and give sales and stuff. The main difference from Prime Day and this Early Access Day is going to be that the flash sale is offering early access to Amazon's holiday deals. So that means it's going to be a pretty good time for you guys to go out and get your shopping done ahead of the chaos of Black Friday and Christmas season and all the holiday seasons. So for those of you that like to plan in advance, October 11th, October 12th might be a good time for you guys to hop on and make some purchases if you see some good deals. Amazon always trying to cook up something to bring in revenue, so hopefully there's actually genuine deals on there and that's not just some sort of promotion to boost engagement or anything, but I would assume that you could find some solid prices on there. So if that's the kind of person you are, I would recommend you check it out. Meanwhile, in the tech sector, we're seeing that electric vehicles could be charged within 5 minutes thanks to tech that's been developed by NASA. So there's a cooling system that's been recently developed by NASA for electronics in space. This could be used to help charge electric cars also. The system could, in theory, allow electric cars to be charged in just 5 minutes, NASA said. The heat transfer system can cool cables carrying high currents, potentially allowing super fast charging without the risk of overheating. The current charging times for electric vehicles range from less than 20 minutes at some of the public fast charging stations to, on the higher end, sometimes days or hours when using your at-home chargers. But NASA claims that the new heat transfer system could reduce the charging time at charging stations to just 5 minutes. NASA said in a blog post, application of this new technology resulted in unprecedented reduction of the time required to charge a vehicle, and it may remove one of the key barriers to worldwide adoption of electric vehicles. If you're telling me I can recharge my car fully in 5 minutes, I don't have to pay for gas, I don't have to go stand out in the cold and the wind and the rain to fuel up my vehicle. I can do it in the comfort of my garage with much lower costs and only 5 minutes. That's going to be enormous for the EV space. These puppies are going to be flying off the shelves if this becomes a reality. I might be looking into it if I have the budget for it one day, but man, you gotta love technology, man. We keep advancing. Somehow, who would have thought that NASA would be the one to provide faster electric car charge times? But sometimes these industries can overlap. You can have a discovery in one sector that can benefit a different sector. So glad that we're sharing the knowledge. Glad that we're advancing, and I hope that this can save a lot of people a lot of time and a lot of money in the future.
What's cooking in video games?
There's been a controversial Overwatch 2 feature that required players to connect their phone numbers to their account before playing. Apparently that's also coming to the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 game that's going to be released. This is reported by PC Gamer. The requirement will seemingly be applicable to all Modern Warfare 2 players instead of just the minority of those playing Overwatch. Modern Warfare 2's newly created Overwatch 2 accounts and the newly created Modern Warfare accounts are going to require a phone number, which is reported from a Blizzard support page. It's unclear if Activision's going to backtrack this requirement, as Blizzard did for Overwatch 2. But it seems like, as of now, that's the plan for Modern Warfare 2. So if you plan on doing online gameplay and getting some of these skins and DLC and all that stuff, sounds like you're going to need a phone number to connect to your account. That's going to be able to do some two-step verification and alert you of any suspicious activity. Kind of sucks for those of you that don't have phones or don't want to pay a recurring phone bill. It's kind of another barrier to entry for these games, which kind of sucks because I feel that the video games should try to have as low of a barrier to entry as possible. You shouldn't limit the audience to your games if you can help it. I think there's plenty of other ways you could go about this rather than requiring phone numbers, but that's the decision being made at this time. So unfortunate, but we'll have to see if the community uproar is enough to get this changed. Meanwhile, BMW announced on Tuesday it has partnered with German video game console startup Air Console to bring casual gaming to its in-car infotainment system next year. Air Console is going to act as a gaming platform within BMW's iDrive system starting next year, available on the cars within the company's curved display. So you're going to get a BMW that has that curved display in there. You're going to be able to play some video games on there. With Air Console, we're going to leverage innovative technologies combined with a broad variety of fun and multiplayer games, BMW Senior Vice President Steven Durach said in a statement. This will make every waiting situation inside the vehicle, such as charging, an enjoyable moment. That's pretty cool, especially if we get this NASA technology we were just talking about for the 5-minute charge times. You just plug that puppy in, you play some video games for 5 minutes, and you're good to go. That is a much better user experience than driving to a gas station, getting out in the negative 10 degree temperatures and the wind and the rain, trying to figure out how to get gas in your car. I mean, I guess you have it figured out by now, but all in all, there's being improvements made, and this is a step in the right direction. Hopefully these will be accessible to a ton of different people, and that will make life much easier and much more productive for everyone. So the future is bright. Even though the market is down, we got to have faith that better days are ahead. That's going to do it for me, guys. What's Cooking, episode 12. Luke Jonasson joining me. Also some fun topics in the 4 categories today. Thank you guys for listening. What's_cooking on Instagram. What's_cooking on Twitter. I have a Facebook page. I have a YouTube channel. Hit me up on all platforms possible. If you want to come on the show, let me know. It's as easy as that. We'll get you on the schedule. We'll get you in here eventually. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a good one. Peace.